Welcome to the bonus hidden episode of Are You Invited to the Carne Asada? And today we'll be evaluating the ogre known as Shrek. I'm just kidding. This is the Carne Asada bouncer. Let him take care of it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Buttery show, and we are here to talk about the Shrek franchise. And yes, with me is none other than our good friend Miguel, who has done a lot of video game and anime movies along with me, and currently he's making a lot of fame and fortune off of doing the great IG series known as Are You Invited to the Carne Asada? How are you doing, Miguel?
Yo.
Yeah.
I've been doing well.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Is Shrek invited to the carne asada?
Of course. Shrek is always invited. I mean, granted, I don't know what kind of meat he would put in tacos, but hey, he's free to join.
Yeah. I imagine he would
he loves onions.
Yeah. I would imagine that like he would definitely like put like some slugs into his tacos. And you're right. He would use a lot of cebolla in his tacos because los ogres son cebollas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you know who probably isn't? John Lithgow. Not the actor, but his character in this movie.
Yeah.
So as all of you can tell, we are currently here to discuss the one, the only Shrek as our current film. Why? Because in one of the greatest sequels of all time is getting its 20th anniversary on the 19th of this month. Our review of that film won't coincide with the actual date, but it will coincide with the same month, so that's kind of really important.
True.
Yeah. And like, let me ask you this: what was your first start with Shrek franchise?
That was the first movie. I think we got it for I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it when it came out on VHS, and then my family got it, and so I wound up watching it, and that was funny. Yeah. Really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, for me, I think it was really interesting is how the movie sort of played with these fairy tale tropes, and you have this very bizarre looking ogre character as your main star of the movie. So there's a sort of bizarreness that you have to really take the time to really get into. But once you take a chance and watch it in theaters, you're in for a great ride. And I did watch. Actually, I saw every Shrek movie in theaters. The main Shrek movies, Shrek 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's pretty much it. The Puss in Boots movies, I actually had to watch after their home releases, unfortunately. But as far as the main Shrek movies, I did watch all 4 of them in theaters. I actually remember where I did watch it because I watched it at the Amman Chinese Theater. Believe it or not, same weekend as I saw Monsters Inc. in the El Capitan. So it was a great week of animation for me. Shrek on one side of Hollywood Boulevard, Monsters Inc. on the opposite side of Hollywood Boulevard. And what's especially fun is that I saw Shrek with my mom and Monsters Inc. with my dad. So the two of them would fight each other. It's like, Mike, which movie did you like better, Shrek or Monsters Inc.? I'm like, I like both movies. They're both fantastic. Yeah. So let's go a little bit into what the movie is. So it is a 2001 animated fantasy film based loosely on, believe it or not, a 1990s children's picture book called Shrek by William Steig. Have I read the picture book? No, I have not. But he does ride on a donkey, which does not talk, and that's all I know about the actual book. It was directed by Andrew Adamson and written by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, and it stars Mike Myers as the titular character, along with Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and John Lithgow. It had a budget of $60 million. Would you like to play a guess as to what the box office was?
It was one of the highest grossing films of 2001, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was maybe number 3 overall.
Probably.
But yeah, behind Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I think it was like maybe like 500 mil, I want to say.
You're actually really close. It made $492.2 million. So it made a huge comeback. It made a very huge comeback. I always say this: if your comeback is more than 300%, it's more than a fiscal success. But this isn't just 300%. Like we're talking like close to like we're talking about like 600% or higher.
Yeah, close to.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Actually, it's 800% because it's above 480 million. So yeah, it's a huge. It was super successful, and apparently there was some pettiness involved behind the scenes in terms of how this movie came into existence. Because I remember reading rumors that one of the makers of the Shrek franchise, at least the movie franchise, was used to work for Disney. I can't remember if they worked on the Disney animated side or the Pixar side, but basically after they cut ties with Disney, they moved to DreamWorks and then made this movie with like all of these fairy tale characters that Disney is famous for having, and then just made a whole parody out of all of them. And it worked.
It did.
Yeah. Like you got characters like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Pinocchio, and some fans even have a conspiracy theory involving Donkey and Pinocchio. I found out very recently. It was, man, I had a kick watching this movie. It's like whether you're a 9-year-old kid, whether you're a 9-year-old kid or an adult in your 30s, like this movie just stays fantastic. And
it does.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the cast real quick. So obviously the main character is played by Mike Myers. Mike Myers is most famous at the time for playing Austin Powers. He already did 2 Austin Powers movie, and the third one's on its way. He's famous for being in Saturday Night Live, and one of
Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's World originated from Saturday Night Live and had not 1 but 2 movies, both fantastic. I love the Alice Cooper cameo. He was also in I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yep.
Yeah, and he would go on to do other successful franchises, but after Shrek, some not very successful ones that we're not going to go too much into. Love Guru. Yeah, so yeah, this is one of his. So if Austin Powers was not his breakout role, which it was, believe me, Shrek would have been. And of course, he's paired up with Eddie Murphy, who plays the character Donkey, a talking donkey. Who would have thought a donkey that can talk? Eddie Murphy. What can we say about Eddie Murphy? Nutty Professor. Let's see. What else was he in before that? Pluto Nash. Yeah.
Coming to America.
Coming to America is a great one.
Let's see, Dr. Dolittle.
Dr. Dolittle. Yeah. I can't believe that they made 4 Dr. Dolittle movies. Although Eddie Murphy was only in the first 2, though.
Yeah.
He was a huge stand-up success, and of course, he also appeared on Saturday Night Live. One of my favorite Eddie Murphy skits was when he's like in a prison cell. It's like It's like this county prison's poetry night, and like he did this poem called "Killed My Landlord."
Yeah. Of course, the I'm Gumby, damn it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did do Gumby, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like we have two Saturday Night Live alums in this movie, and whenever you put two SNL alums together, like you always have comedy magic. That's why movies like Baby Mama and Mean Girls is so great, because you have Tina Fey and Amy Poehler together.
Although, funny thing is, before like Mike Myers got the role of Shrek, it was originally supposed to go to Chris Farley. He even recorded most of the dialogue before he sadly passed.
Yeah, it is really sad that it is really sad that he passed away, because Chris Farley was fantastic. One of these days we should do a Beverly Hills Ninja where he was with Robin Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, the word Shrek actually came from the Yiddish word meaning fear or fright, which is actually very appropriate for the character, because one of the biggest gimmicks is that everyone's always scared of the main character.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, like even like in the opening scene of the movie, you know, like he's doing every disgusting thing you can imagine to the tune of All Star. Great soundtrack choice, by the way. And you got these villagers with pitchforks. He's like, he's gonna grind your bones. Oh no, those are giants. Ogres are much worse. It's the way you run. Yeah. So it's like he's just minding his own business, but all these people are scared of him. And I actually really like that aspect to him, because he wants to live on his own. It's actually like a self-perpetuating cycle of isolation where everyone sees him as this monster, but then like he kind of like rolls with it, where it's like he's like, if everyone's going to see me as a monster, I may as well be a monster, so that they would have a valid reason to fear me. And which is very self-defeating. And like we've had 3 instances of that happening in Spider-Man the animated series, where you have Rocket Racer, that one Robbie's son, and even what's his name, Prowler. They're all like, it's like everyone's looking at me like a criminal. So if everyone's gonna look at me like a criminal, I may as well become one. Same thing with Shrek, but you know he has layers, like an onion. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Yeah. Unfortunately, his swamp is being gentrified into a prison camp for fairy tale creatures, including Pinocchio, the Big Bad Wolf, 3 Blind Mice, one of which is also voiced by Mike Myers. And it was all under the command of Lord Farquaad, who was played by John Lithgow. One of the most memorable roles for me from John Lithgow was the character Dick from Third Rock from the Sun, which, by the way, I have the first 4 seasons of right there on my shelf.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Any John Lithgow roles that you are particularly fond of?
Well, that I did like, and then I also liked in one of his later roles in the sequel to Daddy's Home when he played Will Ferrell's dad.
Yeah. Yeah, he was with what's his name? Mad Max. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, as if Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg was an interesting enough pairing. You got John Lithgow with Mel Gibson. Yeah, and that wasn't the only John. No, wait, actually, no, that was a different actor I'm thinking of. I was thinking about a different Will Ferrell movie, but that was Craig T. Nelson. So never mind on that one. But yeah, no, like he's had several movies where he played like a corrupt businessman, and good on him. Like I love it when you do a great job playing. He was recently in a sitcom on NBC where he's basically a convicted politician because he was framed for killing his wife or something. I only saw the first episode, so unfortunately, but I'd be interested in watching it. You know, if I had Peacock, which I don't, but you know. Yeah, and of course, a lot of people might remember him most from Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, and I love how they reference Harry. And he appeared in a Harry and the Hendersons related episode of 30 Rock where Jack Donaghy tries to groom Judah Freelander's character into being a lawyer, but turns out no, of course he's a great lawyer. His father was a lawyer, but of course he had to go on the run because of the mob. So of course Jack had to sort of shoo him away from a law degree, just like how John Lithgow had to shoo away Harry from the family. So yeah. So Lord Farquaad, he is very vain. He's on his high horse because he has a Napoleonic complex.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely compensating for something. One thing I actually really appreciate is how Duloc, Lord Farquaad's home nation, is modeled after Disneyland.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, so it's like you're taking jab after jab at Disney, which is hilarious to me. But what's especially funny for me is there was this part where Shrek arrives at Duloc, and that one mascot is weaving around the around the queue while Shrek just walks through it like a bulldozer. Because last time I went to Disneyland, I had an experience very similar to that, where we were trying to get in line to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and of course I was weaving left and right, and while a bunch of other people, they're sliding in between the queue stalls, so they're basically cutting in line. So I'm like, God damn it! It feels like Duloc in here.
Yeah, and of course that, please keep off of the grass, shine your shoes, wipe your face.
That was really funny, and of course, he's accompanied by Shrek is accompanied by Donkey, who is the most insufferable, most garrulous, most verbose character in all of fiction. And I still love him. He's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, Eddie Murphy was perfect casting for the character, and the way they work off each other is also great. It's like in the morning, I'm making waffles. Yeah, and of course when they get to so what is Farquaad's sinister goal? He wants a gentrified, racially pure kingdom, and he needs the fairest maiden of them all. So, of course, he has the evil mirror on the wall from Snow White.
Yeah.
And they basically turn it into a dating game. It's like Bachelorette number 1, which is Cinderella. Bachelorette number 2, which is Snow White, and then Bachelorette number 3, and of course we got Fiona. And of course, her backstory is very similar to Sleeping Beauty, but as we find out, there's a whole separate Sleepy Beauty. So it's 2 characters with the same backstory. All right, let's get into Fiona. So Fiona is played by the lovely, very charming, and during the 90s, severely underrated Cameron Diaz. Mm-hmm. And if you know me, you know which Cameron Diaz it rings the most fondly in my memory.
Charlie's Angels?
Smoking!
The Mask, of course, yes. Yeah. That was her debut role.
That was her debut. She even said that she's going to go into adult film if that movie did not work out. So I'm glad that movie worked out, because it's my second most favorite film of all time. But yeah. She was in other films too. Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels.
There's something about Mary.
There's something about Mary. Yeah, with the whole
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and she would later go on to be in other films. Even now, she still has film roles. She was in that movie where Jamie Lannister's cheating on 3 women at the same time.
Mm.
There was that one movie. I forgot.
Yeah. I know she was also in Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Day and Night.
Yeah. Wasn't she also in Horrible Bosses, or am I thinking someone else?
No, she wasn't in Horrible Bosses, but she was in Bad Teacher.
Oh, Bad Teacher, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
with Phyllis from The Office. Yeah. Like she was honestly, I like that movie because it's like she becomes a guidance counselor at the end, and I love that they're actually giving special attention to the film. To the book Animal Farm, which a lot of people forget or sleep out on that book. Like I get it. Like you can't have George Orwell without 1984, but 1984 is not the only book that he wrote. Animal Farm, all animals were created equal, but some are more equal than others.
Oh yeah, I read that in 10th grade for world history.
8th grade for English lit.
Yeah.
American English lit. Weirdly enough. Yeah, but it does make sense because this did have to do with the Cold War, so there's that.
Mainly like the overthrowing of the Russian Tsar, and then with Lenin and all the other coming into power.
Yeah, she was also she was not only in Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, but she was also in Minority Report.
Oh wow, she was in 2 Tom Cruise movies. Wow.
Yeah. Being John Malkovich apparently, which I met, but wow, I did not know. Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. She's the one. The Last Supper. The Last Supper. I forgot she was in that movie. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Last Supper is a very timeless political comedy. Well, it's a dark political comedy about a group of liberal friends who invite conservative guests to dinner, and let's just say hijinks ensues. I highly recommend watching it. I think Ron Perlman played the antagonist in that film. Yeah, so one of these days we should do The Last Supper. I think a lot of people probably slept out on that film. But yeah, so Farquaad wants to rescue Fiona so that he could marry her and become the king of Duloc. Because apparently it's like, oh, you're not a king, not yet. You got to marry a princess first. I love how the goon is has a tiny mirror. It's like,
oh, Thelonious, yep.
Yeah, so he has this whole horde of knights. It's like you'll be sent out to rescue Princess Fiona. It is a very dangerous quest, and many of you might die, but it is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Only for Shrek to go on WWF because I think this is just before they became WWE.
It was about a year before, yeah.
Yeah, so he goes all WW on all these nice, they have these crazy moves. They use Stone Cold Stunner, they use Sting's moves, they use The Rock's moves, and even take me in. Oh man. Yeah, so of course Farquaad agrees. Tell you what, ogre. Rescue the princess, bring her to me, and I'll give you back the deed to your swamp. Of course, the bargain is made. Let's hope he follows through on it. And so our heroes go on their epic quest far, far away. And of course, we have that conversation about onions. Ogres are like onions. Why? Because you make people cry? No! Because you grow white hairs whenever you get old? No, donkey! We have layers! Onions have layers? Ogres have layers! You know what else have layers? Cake! Everyone loves cake! Ogres don't have cake!
Yeah.
Alright, so we get to the castle. We have this crazy chase scene where Shrek rescues the princess while Donkey is trying to distract the dragon. And we find out, oh, you're not just a dragon. You're a girl dragon. Well, of course you're a girl dragon.
Yeah.
So what was your reaction when you had that donkey and dragon scene?
I'm just thinking, wow, that kind of subverts the whole thing. Like a donkey romancing the dragon. Like, who would have thought that? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of a shock.
Yeah, honestly, like usually, like in fairy tale history, the only instance I've seen a dragon be affirmatively female was in Disney's Sleeping Beauty, where
Maleficent becomes a dragon.
Yeah. In any other instance, the dragon was either male or no determined gender. So
Pretty much.
So this is one of the only two instances where I've seen a dragon be affirmatively female. And yeah, I love that donkey, you know. He got that riz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. Should dragon be invited to the carne asada?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like if your sheep like you can't have asada caliente if you don't have fuego.
That's true.
Uh-huh. Actually, I'm hungry for some tacos right now.
Yeah.
All right. So they rescue Fiona, but they find out that the journey is going to be a little bit longer than expected because Fiona seems to be against the idea of traveling at night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and she finds out that Shrek is an ogre, so it's like, why would she have a problem with her rescuer being an ogre? I wonder. I wonder. But yeah, so we have a beautiful heart-to-heart between Shrek and Donkey, both dealing with the theme of people always judge us before they get to know us. And honestly, that's one of my favorite themes about this movie because usually in a fairy tale, an ogre is the bad guy, but here the ogre is the main character. Sure, I've written papers about Shakespeare making a villain the protagonist, but here it's like we have this happening in a children's film, so that's kind of interesting. But also we have that subversion where the handsome prince is the bad guy, while the horrible, monstrous ogre is the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so next we get a couple of very interesting pop culture references. So you want to talk about some of them?
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, I know a couple of the ones that we got were, well, when Robin Hood shows up.
Yeah.
And we get to see him doing the river dance. And then, of course, Fiona fights them all Matrix style.
Oh yeah, every female protagonist in that 3-year period, they always do that leap with like her knees like curled inward, like
yeah.
I think didn't Cameron Diaz also do that in
Charlie's Angels?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. You know who else did that? Scarlett Johansson in Perfect Score.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of interesting because you got Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson in high school together in Perfect Score.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have Mike Rosenbaum and Jared Leto in college together in Urban Legend.
Yeah.
So you got two. So you have two Avengers going to high school together, while two Legion of Doom members going to college together.
True.
Because Mike Rosenbaum becomes Lex Luthor and Jared Leto becomes the Joker. But you know what?
Oh yeah.
But Mike Rosenbaum also becomes Wally West. So, you know.
Yeah. And it's not the only time we saw Chris Evans in high school. Not another teen movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in that movie with Jamie Presley and Serena Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a DOA character and a Power Ranger in a movie with with an Avenger.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got that Matrix parody, and I love how you got that whole like subversion where she does that singing thing that Snow White does, but it causes the bird to explode instead. It's like, oh, I made a mistake. Wait, where'd that come from? By the way, one thing that we did not mention is the fact that some of the lesser known cameos include Jim Cummings as the captain of the guards for Lord Farquaad.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was really cool to find out.
Yeah. Winnie the Pooh was the captain of the guard.
Yeah. Another jab at Disney.
Yeah.
Times like this, it makes me want to say that one line from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge: "Down with Disney, all hail Forkits." But eventually, like we get so close to Shrek and Fiona admitting that they might actually have feelings for each other. But we have that typical third act trope where it's like, oh, someone overhears another person say something out of context and then they get upset.
Because Donkey finds out the truth and
Yeah, so turns out the reason why Fiona is scared of traveling at night is because turns out she herself is an ogre at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting. It kind of calls back to the mask, where you can use the mask of Loki only at night. So I find it interesting. Cameron Diaz was in a movie where her significant other turns into a green-faced character at night, and then she becomes a character who becomes a green-faced character at night.
What a coincidence!
What a coincidence! Yeah, it's kind of like having Anna Hutchinson be in a Disney film where her friend has to fight an ancient evil Chinese smoke monster and an army of terracotta warriors by recruiting the help of ancient Shaolin masters, only to later be in a TV show where her friend has to fight an ancient Chinese smoke monster that took over the body of a school rival and an army of terracotta warriors by recruiting the help of ancient Shaolin masters.
Mm-hmm.
In case anyone's wondering, I'm talking about Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior and Power Rangers Jungle Fury. Consecutive years. Consecutive years. Oh man. But yeah. So yeah, Shrek gets angry. He lets Farquaad know, hey, Cameron Diaz is over here. It's like, and like what's funny is like you see like him like riding high on his high horse with his long legs, only to reveal that those legs are hollow. He's actually much shorter. He's clearly something. Yeah, of course, it's like, oh, they have to get married before sundown, before anyone finds out that she's an ogre. And of course, Donkey saves the day by telling Shrek the truth. Truth set you free. And true to Mike Myers' fashion, they also do a reference to The Graduate.
Yeah.
So Wayne's World did a reference to The Graduate, where like he breaks into a wedding and then barricades the wedding chapel. Shrek does the same thing. So that's two Mike Myers movies where they rip off
The Graduate.
Yeah, and of course, and it's so perfect because they even wait for the right moments. Like, does anyone object to this wedding? It's like, I object. It's like you could have just like broken in at any given time. The sooner the better, but as Farquaad would say. But no, it's like you have to do it at the point where it says, does anyone object to this union? Speak now, forever hold thy peace. I object. Oh, ogre, what? Go away. You already have your swamp. But no, so he reveals he loves Fiona, and Fiona loves him too. and he looked at her, and she looked at him, and he looked at her, and she looked at him.
And of course, yeah, like Thelonious having the cue cards with them, like the ogre has fallen in love with the laughter.
An ogre being happy? No. So of course, yeah, I love how Thelonious has those cue cards like you have in like in a live studio audience, and of course they have that kiss sequence where like where like in Beauty and the Beast, but of course no, she reveals that she's an ogre, and then they kiss, and then instead of turning back into a human like she was supposed to, she stays an ogre permanently. Because she takes the form of love's true kiss. Since her true love is an ogre, it kind of makes me wonder, like, what would happen if she fell in love with Donkey and then she and Donkey kiss? Would she turn into a donkey? I wonder. Does make me wonder.
But Donkey already had Dragon, who had to come in at the last minute to eat Farquaad when he was trying to take him to the dungeon.
Yeah, great stuff. And of course, they live there happily ever after. They do a cover of "I'm a Believer" by the Monkees, have an epic wedding scene, and even Gingy, yes, the gingerbread man, who was tortured in an earlier scene, even just like stomps down the Farquaad doll on top of the wedding cake, where it's like.
Yeah. Where they also have a Christmas Carol reference where he says, "God bless us, everyone."
Bless us, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you got that part where like that's a '90s trope where like right as Shrek is about to kiss Fiona, he's like. Yeah, it's like a lot of '90s movies like to do that thing where like two characters are about to kiss. It's like, and then you cover the camera so you don't see the kiss. I mean, you're gonna, but it's a '90s thing in early 2000s. And of course, just getting out of the way briefly, there is a short continuation to the movie where like they're on their way home from the wedding, which by the way, I love how the carriage is a giant onion instead of like a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like basically it's like, oh, the ghost of Farquaad wants to kill Shrek and Fiona, and then his minion also dies, but don't worry, somehow the ghosts both get eaten by a dragon again. And you could watch that short at Universal Studios Hollywood. So, so there's that.
Also, if you watch the tape of it, like the home release, at the end of it would also show like a scene where like Shrek and a bunch of the other characters are doing karaoke songs, and you have like Donkey singing "Baby Got Back."
I did not know about that. See, I know that in the sequel they did "Far, Far Away Idol," and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But like, I did not know about that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Donkey did "Baby Got Back." I like dragon pups that I cannot lie. This donkey can't deny.
And you have like freaking Robin Hood doing YMCA.
Yeah.
The big bad wolf doing "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Yep. Yeah, no, like one thing I love about these Shrek movies is the soundtrack. Like they just really work.
They do.
Yeah. I want to see what some of the songs they have. Let's see. They have "Best Years of Our Life" by the Baha Men. They have "My Beloved Monster" by the Eels. They got wow, Smash Mouth did the cover of "I'm a Believer." That's crazy. I did not know that. Yeah, because I know the original song "I'm a Believer" was done by the Monkees, who were supposed to be an American version of the Beatles. They even had their own TV show, and I have the best of Sleep on, dream on, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it be?
Hell, even Davy Jones from the Monkees appeared on Scooby Doo at once.
Yeah. I like David Jones. I'm really sad that he passed away back in 2011, I think.
I think so, yeah, around there, yeah.
Oh, they also have Hallelujah by Rufus Wainwright.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Eddie Murphy reprised "I'm a Believer." Like, fantastic soundtrack all around. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. So, what were some of your favorite scenes in this movie?
Some of my favorite scenes in the movie. Well, of
Yeah.
course, you had Shrek doing the whole wrestling move style of Farquaad soldiers was a great one. What else? Or I also kind of like when Fiona's trying to send Donkey for a blue flower, red thorns. He's like, blue flower, red thorns, blue flower, red thorns. Oh, this would be so easy if I wasn't colorblind.
Yeah, no, I love the way that like Donkey is earnestly trying to be helpful. Oh, I also love how like Fiona like pulls an arrow out and like Shrek doesn't notice it right away until he sees it. He's like, "Oh!" Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. My favorite scene. It's really hard to pick with this movie, but honestly, it's like but honestly, I really like the part where we first meet Donkey, where it's like where like we see all these different fairy tale creatures, like you got all these villagers like selling out literally all these creatures. It's like I'm a wood puppet boy, and his nose grows long when he lies. Like, I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy. Shh. And
I
and
chose
I
for the rest of it. Yeah.
yeah, and I love it when it has like an instrumental component to it, because you know, like when we see Shrek 2, you'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your most favorite and least favorite characters in this movie?
Well, of course, yeah, Shrek is awesome. Donkey is great as well. I also like Gingerbread Man, even though he had a very small role. He's like, "You're a monster." Like, and then when he just tells Farquaad, "Yee," and spits on his face.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Gingy's fantastic. Like, he never has a bad line, but of course, like in later sequels, we do find out like his backstory is very inconsistent when he has those flashbacks where like his life flashes before his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I love how he's getting interrogated. It's like, oh, you can't catch me because I'm the gingerbread man. And it's like, you fairy tale creatures disgust me. Like, and then you got like the mirror. It's like, yeah. But yeah, what are some of my other favorite characters? I mean, Donkey's probably my most favorite of the main characters because he's the glue. It's really hard. Like, I know that like, for a lot of people, it's like Fred, Velma, Daphne are the three most important characters in Scooby Doo because it's like one's the athletic one, one's the engineer, and the third one is the intellect. But it's like, what does Shaggy bring to the table? He brings heart. Heart. Donkey is a Shaggy and Scooby of the team, and especially works because he's a talking animal. Yeah, and I especially love like going back to the auction scene. I love how like the old lady's like, like my donkey can talk. He's just really shy. Believe me, he won't shut up. It's like
and of course, like when she knocks the fairy dust onto him, like, I can fly. He can fly. He can talk.
That's right, sucker. I'm a talking flying donkey. You've seen a horse fly. You've seen a super fly. But now you'll see a donkey fly. Woo! Wow. Yeah. My least favorite character, Farquaad. You know, like, you're the villain. Can't do much about it. This is not a knock at John Lithgow. You're a fantastic actor, but your character is insufferable. What can I do?
Yeah. And then of course there's that like hint, and like when he's watching Fiona's picture in bed, he's kind of like getting off to it.
Yeah. He's basically Nina from Code Geass.
Yeah.
Like, you can't quite see what's happening, but you know what's happening. Happening. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, like if you were in that world and you were a bachelor and you had to like date a fairy tale princess, who would you go out with?
Let's see. Hmm. Honestly, that's a good question. I mean, probably Snow White would probably have the least baggage out of all of them.
Yeah.
Because at least because with Cinderella, you have her step family, which like, nah.
Yeah.
And dwarves would probably be pretty good wingmen overall.
Yep. Yeah. Plus, I love how like she has the ability. She has zoopathy, as we find out in the later films. Well, for me, wow. Let me think about it because like when it comes to like Disney princesses, it's like yeah, like I have some picks. One of them's not even a princess, by the way, but
Yeah.
yeah, because Mulan's not a princess. I'm sorry. She's a general. At most, she could be a duchess, but not a princess. I'm sorry, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with being a general. She has an amazing career of 11 years. You know, due diligence, but not a princess. I'm sorry. I'm a Mulan fan, but she's not a princess. But let's see where but like as far as the princesses from Shrek specifically, that's a tough one. I definitely know who I definitely don't want to date, and that's Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Not because she has alopecia, but because she's armed by toxicity. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, given who we're presented with, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to also go with Snow White, just because yeah, because your only other options are not a narcoleptic and a person with toxic family members that will try to home wreck every opportunity. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
basically the Onslers family from the Lorax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like once Cinderella gets rich, her family's gonna try to move in and be like, "You gotta take care of your mama." Since when were you my mama? Since your daddy conveniently died. So yeah, as far as the Disney, so as far as the Shrek versions of the princesses, yeah, I'm gonna have to go agree with you on this one. Snow White all the way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, final question. What score would you give this movie out of 10 and why?
Honestly, I probably would give the very first Shrek a solid 10 out of 10. I mean, for subverting a lot of like the typical fairy tropes of that time. I liked all the subtle jabs at Disney, and of course, hey, turning a lot of these tropes on its head, and the fact that Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy had really good chemistry with one another as Shrek and Donkey really solidified the package.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on all of those accounts, and I especially love like the way that they try to parody like every genre under the sun. Like they even did an obligatory musical number with Robin Hood, down to the part where they're not just doing Lord of the Dance, but also like they tried doing that whole that synchronized swimming thing where you have like a bunch of people on the floor making a star shape with their legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, like you got the Matrix thing, which yeah, it's kind of dated, but knowing the pop culture at the time, it's kind of funny. Yeah, a lot of subversions, and it does give a new perspective to the fairy tale genre. Unfortunately, it's not quite as rewatchable for me as Shrek 2 is, and we're going to get to that next week. But it was a fantastic film and a great start to a fantastic franchise. And of course, like you can tell, it did fantastic, not only because of its massive box office return, but also because it had 4 sequels, plus split off with its own sequel, many holiday shorts, and yeah, it even has its own Universal Studios attraction. And I think in Orlando they have even more than the ones in Hollywood. But yeah, if I could, I would go back to Universal Studios just so I could meet like the animatronic donkey that talks to you directly. You know, because you have because both in Pets and Shrek areas, you have the Sprinkles and Donkey. Like you actually have a person on a microphone talking through the animatronic, so it's like they're actually responsive to you. Like if you talk about waffles, Donkey will respond to you about waffles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, so for me, this movie's a 9 out of 10. And again, that last point is always the hardest to win, but it is one. But again, Shrek is one of the greatest animated films of all time, and I can't wait to discuss the sequel next week. So, moving right on, you, the audience, let us know what you guys have to say about this movie. God, I love. I guess you mean I love Shrek. I guess Shrek is one of the greatest animated films of all time. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I love Gingy. Yeah, Gingy's really fun. It's like, I know the baby's gonna love it because I know that I do. Yeah. Dragon was also really cool. I'm glad you like Dragon. I'm glad Dragon returns in some of the sequels. Yeah. So yeah. That's it for the comments, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Big bell icon. Stay notified for our latest videos. We're going to be doing Shrek Month all this week on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. And yeah, check out our past reviews where we've done the Naked Gun series, the Crow series, video game movies, anime movies. And let me tell you, like watching Shameless seasons 1 through 3 was a heck of a trip because we discussed Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to take my word for it. Ask Krillin here. Yeah, and check out our sister channel, the Morphin Network, where we do various tokusatsu discussions. Ultraman Tiga, the movie, next Monday. We got Kamen Rider Godchild on Wednesdays, Bakugan September Boomjar on Thursdays, and Kamen Rider Kiva on Sundays. And if you want to check out our personal content, Miguel, where can people find you?
You can find me over on Instagram at that blue dinosaur guy.
And of course, you will always be invited to the asada that is his Instagram. And you can find me on, and you could spend your holidays, your weekends later at Instagram at Boken_Kabuto, on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching our review of Shrek, 20th anniversary of Shrek 2. Can't wait to discuss it. We hope to see you guys next time. Until then, when I saw her face down, now I'm a believer, not a trace, out of my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I can leave her till I try. Goodbye, guys.